Fear of the coronavirus has and most likely will continue to discourage person-to-person meetings. No one knows when you'll be able to attend industry events. So if you are responsible for developing new business and your main pipeline was developed through meeting people, how can you generate new prospects post-coronavirus? Our guest today is Dan Jourdan, and he will tell us how you can connect with clients and prospects to develop business during and post-coronavirus. Dan Jourdan, AKA Sales Energizer, whose specialty is teaching sales training skills and tools that have turned $30,000 a year salespeople to become $300,000 a year salespeople. Although Dan could help any size company improve their sales capabilities, often works with firms that have limited number of employees, although there is no limit to their gross revenue. As he explains, a freight transportation company brokering $100 million can operate out of a home. Typically, these companies grow beyond the owners' and managers' capabilities to grow to the next level, or even sustain the level of income without having outside guardians. I always like to provide some background about our guests so the listening audience will know you better personally and appreciate what you have to say professionally, Dan. I've learned before you settled in Atlanta, you originated out of Metro New York. And post-high school education, as Bill Gates might say, was, let's say, the road less taken. So how would you best describe yourself?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know who you're talking about. That was so good. I want to do business with that guy. I mean, that's good stuff. I tell you what. Yeah, I was just thinking about it today. I think that my life and career was greatly enhanced by not going to college. I think going to college would have made me a worse person. Not only just like a worse, salesperson, a worse person, but really that's my whole thing. I think you want to be a better salesman, you want to be a better salesperson, first be a better person. And that works before and post Corona, or the communist virus, as I like to call it.
You know, Dan, I'm glad you brought that up. And I actually had that in my notes later, that you're just not a sales trainer and you're excellent at it. Your reputation is very well known, but also your pay it forward attitude. And I just like to tell the listening audience a little personal story, because I don't know if you remember this, Dan.
I don't.
I know. We met maybe 3 years ago. We had lunch together. And I had just moved to Atlanta from Houston, and I was starting a fractional CMO, COO business for offering my services.
Oh,
and
I do remember now.
Right. And I had what the Yiddish term is called chutzpah to call you, because I saw you as a successful sales entry into the Atlanta market, must have contacts. And I said, Dan, I'd like to meet you and talk to you. And I said, hey, Dan, can you do me a favor? And this is the part that I said, Dan, could you mention me or give me a listing on your website? Because I thought that would give me some visibility in the Atlanta market. And you know what you said, Dan? Sure. You said, sure. Right off the bat, Dan. You didn't know me from Adam. So I want the audience to know who you are, that you're the real deal.
Oh,
I didn't ever follow up on that, but you know what? This interview will be on your website. So we're there.
Oh, there you go. It only takes 3 years. That's it. But it comes around. Well, you call it chutzpah. I call it being alive. I mean, if this virus has taught us anything, it's taught us that we are social beings, some more so than others. But there's a great need for one human being to communicate with another. And when you're forced to stay in your home, you're forced to find other ways to build the communication and connections with other humans. It's the best time in the world to be prospecting for whatever industry you're in, because people will gladly answer the phone. They need to speak with another human.
Well, Dan, because as everyone knows right now, we're on a Zoom call and we're on time limit. I'm just going to keep us going. Let's talk about that topic, because you have you have to call your existing clients, right? You have to call your prospects, and you have to do cold calling. So those are 3 categories, which in the past, You could just call a client up and say, hey, we're having lunch together, or just call on them casually. A prospect, meaning someone who's in your pipeline but you haven't had a contract with, at least you could reach out to them, you could meet them, and of course, networking to see people. So can you go through those categories? We have existing clients, your prospects, and how do you develop new contacts, Stan, in today's post-coronavirus or even during coronavirus?
Yeah, I've been on a lot of podcasts lately, but no one's asked me that question, which is probably an important question. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share this bit of wisdom. But what this virus has done has weeded out a lot of average salespeople, weeded out a lot of people who were just kind of doing what you said, calling their existing clients up, hey, let's go to lunch, as if that was the end. You know, like the goal for meeting them was to go to lunch, was to eat. Like you couldn't find the shrimp anywhere else. You had to do it with them. And that's what they do. So that you found out when you don't have that anymore, you realize, what am I really adding to this relationship? And so it's forced the people who wanted to step up and wanted to grow to say, really, what value am I adding? And if I'm not, let me discover some value. And then so I have a reason to call on my existing client. It's not just to have lunch, it's to provide that sort of value, offer another idea, bring them another way to make more sales. Perhaps even, this is something strange. How about bring them a new customer, bring them a new client, become a valued resource instead of just a vendor. So this is what should have always been the purpose for those communications, but now it's even more magnified because you can't share the veal.
That was excellent wisdom and very good examples, excellent examples. So now we're talking about with your existing clients. Yes. I know that the same could pertain to your prospects, but it's just a little different with prospects because of the familiarity, if you will. So
yeah, well, two things. Whatever your business is, remember this: if you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're not climbing, you're sliding. You're never all set. Death of a salesman is when I want to get to the point where I'm all set. Like, that's the goal, because something happens. I'll tell you what's going to happen today. People say I can't predict I can predict the future. I'll tell you what's going to happen today. Someone's going to be born. Someone's going to die. Someone's going to move. Someone's going to get married. Someone's getting divorced. Someone's deciding that they no longer like their job. Someone's getting sick and not showing up there. That's all change is constantly happening in the marketplace. So you're never all set because there's always something new happening. And the day you can not only understand that, but to embrace that and look at all those changes as opportunities, it gives you the reason to wake up in the morning. It gives you that reason to reach out to somebody new, to prospect, knowing that you might be able to help a new person today with your service. So the first thing comes in with working your head, getting your head into the game, that if you're not growing, you're shrinking. You're never going to be all set. Step number 2 is to have a system to constantly be reaching out to people. There's two different, the technology that you use to make to give a sales presentation is not the same technology that you use to close a sale. And it's not the same technology that you use to initiate a new contact, to prospect to them. And so you have to practice. Prospecting is a different sales tool. I equate it to this. And the reason why I say it is if you're using the sales technology or your sales system on a prospecting call, you're going to fail, guaranteed. And so you have to see what a prospecting call is, what a cold call is. What it is basically a billboard. So if you're driving down the highway and you see a billboard for, let's say, a Subway sandwich, a $5 footlong, and you're driving by, but you just ate a meal and you're not hungry, you're just going to drive past. You're not offended that the nerve of them putting a billboard in front of me when I'm not hungry. How are they supposed to know? Now, if you are hungry and you see the sign, you go, maybe I'll pull over. Believe me, the people in the store They're not crying for every car that passes them by and doesn't stop for the Subway sandwich. It's just a billboard. So if you call somebody up and you say, and Artie, what are your services? CFO services or CEO?
CMO and COO services.
Oh, okay, CMO and CEO services. And you call a company and they say, you know, we're really not interested. It's not like you should be offended by that. They don't need it right now. Make another call and move on. You don't have to convince somebody. If someone says on a prospecting call, we don't need it, believe them. I mean, there's 10,000 other people in your area right now that could use it.
Dan, I hear you loud and clear, and I'm watching the clock, and I really want to get to that topic of, though, how do you do it now? Because I can't go to a networking event and meet somebody. So what am I going to do? And I have to call them. And you know what? I haven't called anybody in I don't know how many years. So what's different during coronavirus that I could do differently to reach out? You have all the confidence in the world. I can see that. I'm a little, you know, maybe a little more covert than you. How do I reach out to somebody and disturb them in the middle of the day to try to market my services and goods?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it starts in your head again. I'm in 6 minutes. Is that how much time we have here? Hold on here. Oh, okay. In 6 to 8 minutes, I can't give you the whole thing, but I can give you a start. And the start is get that out of your head that you're disturbing somebody. If the reason why you don't want to call them is because you're disturbing, it's because your product sucks in your own head. I mean, if I was calling you and say, hey, listen, Artie, I just want to let you know I've got $10,000. I want to see if I could bring it over. You think we could set up an appointment? You know, I mean, that's how much you got to think about you have to have an irresistible offer. And if you don't think enough of your service that it's helping another person, then you're going to think you're disturbing them. Believe me, you're not disturbing somebody. Your house is on fire. I got a hose. I wanted to see if you want this hose. You know, they're going to say yes. No, if their house is doing great, they say, yeah, no, I'm not interested. Good. See you later, potato. They've already forgotten about you. It doesn't matter. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there's a couple of little skills you can use, and I'll share one of them with you. And this one is, I call it the 7 magic words. And these are words to use instead of, hi, how are you doing today? When you say, hi, how are you doing today? What you think you're saying, hi, how are you doing today? The other person hears, this is a cold call. The guy's about to jam something down my throat. I'm going to put up my defenses and build up a wall right now. And he's going to try to fight through, and let's go after it. You know, that's what you're doing when you say, how you doing? So I say, don't say that. Instead, use the 7 magic words. And for your listeners and for you, the 7 magic words are, I wonder if you could help me. So I'm going to call you on the phone and say, hello, Artie. And you're going to say, yes. I go, hey, I wonder if you can help me. My name's Dan. And the reason why I'm calling is I have a product that we're working for other companies in your industry that's helping you save a lot of money and earn a lot of money and get more friends and get better looking. I just wanted to call to see if you got 5 minutes that we could talk about this. How's that sound? Boom. And I'm in and out. But if you say, for whatever reason, people have a need to help. And so, in fact, Artie, let me ask you this. You walk into a department store when you used to do it before the communist virus, and a salesperson comes up to you and what do they say to you? Hi, how can I
help you?
How can I help you? That's their job. So if you just call them and say, hey, I wonder if you can help me, they're going to be like, yes, that's what they're paying me for. And so instead of building up the wall simply by saying those 7 magic words, they welcome you into their home and give you permission to pitch. You've officially not disturbed them.
Now, the point being, during coronavirus and post-coronavirus, let's talk about the importance of picking up that phone. That's something that a lot of people have not done for a long time.
Well, no, they have done it. They've just done it with family and friends. They haven't done it asking for business.
Right.
I mean, it's not hard to pick up a phone. You pick it up, you press a few things, and then you press the green button, and you've just called somebody. I mean, it's not like you can't do it. It's a lot less, oh, I can't do it, and a lot more, I don't want to do it.
Thank you.
And so, you know, as soon as the desire to provide for yourself and your family is greater than the awkwardness of picking up the phone and talking to a stranger, you do it.
Well, now you just touched on something else, Dan, and that is talking to a stranger. So
Yeah.
if you were to do a cold call, you would have to first do some research to know who your prospect is. Maybe check out their LinkedIn so you know a little bit more about them professionally. Hey, maybe they actually came from your hometown or your home state.
Well, now we're talking about a little marketing.
Go ahead.
And you know what we do in Sales Arbiter, that's my company right now. What we do is we go into companies similar to yours and we build self-functioning, highly profitable sales teams, organizations for the company, so the owner doesn't have to be involved with it. It increases the value of the business, blah blah blah. But here's the deal. You know, cold calling is just the delivery system. It's part of the marketing strategy. So marketing is your message, what you say, what you offer. The marketplace is your target market, where you deliver that market, the place that could best use your services. That's where the research comes in. I know we work with companies from $1 to $5 million in gross sales, where the owner is deeply involved in the business, and they're in a manufacturing type of facility, and they've reached a static stage that one day they want to sell, and they can't sell for the rate that they want. So I know exactly the market that I'm going to. So I have a basic idea of what they are. The cold call, or the email, or the social media campaign, or the knocking on the door, or the letter, that's just the delivery of the message to the marketplace. Cold calling is just another way to get there. It's just the fastest way to get there, and it's the quickest return, and it's, by the way, the best way to do research. Call to see if you might be interested. No? Got it. Move on to the next.
Well, I'm glad you brought up about social media and marketing and email blasts, because that I would recommend if you're going to call a cold prospect. At least if you start social media or become blogging in some way, you could be known before you make that call, or at least your company is known. So when you make that call, it's not totally cold, right?
I have some friends in the speaking world that speak in the sales world that are, kind of ticked off. They go, "Deej, I don't get to sell anymore." I go, "What do you mean you get?" He goes, "By the time they call me, they've seen all my stuff. They kind of know who I am. I basically have to answer the phone and be alive, and have a date available, and I can do the gig." And so that social media isn't necessarily for getting the business. It's not good for advertising and for acquiring. But once you've made a contact with somebody on the phone or some other way, or you met them out in the public, you did whatever you did, and then they look you up, and you're all over the place. Hell, it's one thing if they look you up and they find out you're an axe murderer. Not good. But even worse than that, what if somebody looks you up and they find nothing? What would you do if you looked up a vendor that you wanted to do business with? You say, "Hey, I wonder if they're good," and you found nothing on them. You think you had the wrong person. So don't be that person. You don't need good stuff. You just need a lot of it.
I hear you there.
Podcasting is a great thing. Everybody should have a podcast.
Well, right now it's the medium of choice. It just seems to be, and I think that's because unlike videos right now, which are also good, they're part of the mix, but that takes visual concentration. Where a podcast, you could be driving, you could be doing house chores, that kind of thing. Exercising.
And not everybody's as good looking as you are. Not everybody can handle.
That's true. So Dan, we have about 5 minutes, and I want to keep it on advice for coronavirus post-selling. So how would you even change some of your out marketing, your micro marketing? What would be different on email blast or whatever social media you're on, or LinkedIn, or whatever other avenue you're going for outside marketing? Any suggestions there that are different than what I was doing before?
Yes. Completely ignore it. Completely ignore this whole thing. Pretend like it's not happened. There's no way to get noticed if you're saying the same thing as everybody else is saying. Right now, everybody's saying, it's a what is it? New normal. I think that's the term, right? Yeah, it's a new normal, is that? You know, right here with your new normal. It's a bunch of garbage. Every single sale has always made the same way. Somebody has a need, somebody has a service, and somebody makes the contact to get those two people together. Every single time. If someone's going to say, I'm not ready because I'm waiting for something to change with the virus, say, okay, thank you very much, and make your next call. And or you could say, like I'm saying to my clients, I have tons of people who said, listen, I'm waiting to see what's going on with this whole virus. And I say, in the meantime, I'll be calling your competition. Because what's going to happen is true. I mean, eventually it changes, right?
Sure.
The question is,
the only
are you going
constant
to
is
be on the
change
front
itself.
end of this
Mm-hmm.
or behind or part of the pack like you've always been? This is an opportunity for the smaller company to really get a leg up on the world. It's just success loves speed. Time to now, listen, I made an entire career about working when other people aren't. I know for a fact salespeople don't work on Mondays and Fridays. So I work hardest on Mondays and Fridays. Salespeople also don't work when it rains. And so I work hardest on Monday and Friday. If it rains on a Monday, it's like, I love it. And so Mondays, Fridays, and when it rains, it works. You could change that. Mondays, Fridays, and when everybody else is chicken because of this communist virus. Nobody's working. I got no competition. You got no competition. Don't change whatever you're doing, do it 10 times more. There's my advice. If they say shelter in place, then you make more calls. The more they say don't do, you do.
Actually, I call it not the new normal. I call it's going to be a new abnormal, but get used to it.
Whatever. Yeah, we got used to everything. In minutes, we got used to this whole thing. I mean, I see traffic now. I'm like, what the hell is this? Traffic. Where does this come from? It used to be traffic was the norm. Now you're like, it's going crazy. It's going crazy.
We're on a countdown for less than 2 minutes. So our guest is from the Business Developers Network show has been Dan Jourdan. I call him the Michael Jordan of sales training. But Dan's last name, just so they know if they want to look you up on LinkedIn, is Jourdan. And Dan, I'm sure people are interested in speaking with you. So please give your contact information.
Yeah, look, that's a perfect way to do it. Just pull up Dan Jourdan or the Sales Energizer. Actually, if you go to the Sales Energizer, I got something. It's just a deal today. I got a 7-day cold calling blitz. I think I'm giving it away for $1 today. So 7-day cold calling blitz. If you just go to the salesenergizer.com, that's the salesenergizer.com. But link in with me, Dan Jourdan, or just pull up my name. There's this website out there. You might have heard of it. Google. You ever heard of Google? Yeah, so go to Google and just put in Dan Jourdan.
How do you spell that?
Jourdan. And then there's all sorts of garbage there for you. But yeah, I'd love to talk to anybody and all that stuff. But I think you've been awesome, man. How's business, by the way?
It's kind of weird to go with what you're saying. I just picked up a new client last week. So there's business out there. Yeah.
You see, you said chutzpah. Azoi. So do like the hint by grub. My dad used to say, whenever you find something, there's a good Yiddish term. If someone knows what it means, call him.
Dan, that's great. Well, thank you very much. This was a great interview, and we got to have lunch again.
I appreciate it.
Every 3 years.
That's right. Every 3 years. You're awesome. Thank you so much, and for putting up with me and for your listeners. And I love your podcast.
Thank you. And you can listen to it on Pro Business Channel, and then it goes evergreen on 20 different syndicated networks, including Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify.
Very good. I'll subscribe.